Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rhode Island Latino News Opinion Plus. This is for our opinions when we talk about current events and questions that Latino community is curious about. Today, we are joined by Bridget Prescott, Director of Education for Save the Bay. Welcome, Bridget. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing today?
Doing great. Doing great.
Awesome.
Looking forward to this great weather.
Thank you so much for joining us on Rhode Island Latino News. And so we would like to start off by asking, what kind of educational programs does Save the Bay offer, and what type of communities and schools do you currently partner with?
Sure. So Save the Bay's education program, we work with students during the school day and in after school hours. And then we also have programs that we offer throughout the year that are offered to the general public. But when it comes to our school programs, we work with students throughout our watershed, around 12,000 students each year. Around 65% of the students we work with are from the urban communities here in Rhode Island. And we work with them, like I said, throughout the school day and after school. The types of programs that we offer, we're a hands-on experiential environmental ed program that focuses on creating stewards of Narragansett Bay. So what we do is we have 3 education vessels that we bring students out onto Narragansett Bay with, and just bring them out there and let them see how awesome our bay is and that it actually is a thriving ecosystem. We go into schools a lot of times and bring the bay into schools for programs that we do that kind of run the gamut regarding just different marine science related topics around that are focused obviously on Narragansett Bay. We meet students out into the rivers, onto different coastal features around the bay. So we stay pretty busy. We try and be accessible wherever we can get students out and about and exploring. That's really what we'll meet them there.
That's very interesting. So you mentioned that you present the presence of marine life, and you explain that within your educational programs. Can you go into more deeper depth on what you mean by marine life, and is that really related on the impact on the bay?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of times what we'll do with students is, for example, on our boat programs, basically the boats are floating classrooms, floating aquariums, really. So when the students come on out with us, they kind of answer or posed a question, how healthy do you think our bay is? And it's pretty general. A lot of times students are taking observations. They're looking around, just looking up what the water looks like, what the land around it looks like. And depending, you get different answers. Our water is green or brown. It's really not clear, and it shouldn't be in the Northeast. So a lot of times students are like, it's dirty. But then we do a plankton sample, and we'll trawl some plankton. We'll actually put it up on the screen. The students will look through the microscope and they'll actually see the base of the food chain. So they'll have the opportunity to see that there's actually lots of life. That's really important and essential to create and sustain a healthy ecosystem. Then the students will, we have different types of scientific equipment aboard our education vessels where the students have the opportunity to see how much oxygen or dissolved oxygen is in the water, which is important for life. They test temperature of the water, the salinity of the water. They'll look at the turbidity of the water to see how clear or how dark it is. So those are all indicators for them to use that information, and from the amounts of plankton that they found, the information that they collected regarding the water quality data. And then so they got some information, that little snapshot of the bay that they're in. And then we have a trawl net. The back of our boat basically turns into an aquarium. So they're troughs that turn into, think of them as like large buckets that we pump seawater or bay water into. Once we pull the net on board, whatever we catch, we put into those troughs. So the students have the opportunity to get hands-on and get to see what actually different types of animals that live in our bay. Now it moves along the bottom, so a lot of the times we'll find animals that are living in the benthic area, which is basically the bottom of the bay. Crabs, different kinds of snails, sea stars, things along those lines. Sometimes we'll get some fish. Sometimes we get some, just different kinds of, maybe some shellfish, things along those lines. So. And then afterwards, we have the opportunity to talk to the students about, well, what do they think? Like in this area of the bay. Now, obviously, they're just looking at one part of the bay in a water column of the bay. They're not. The bay is it's our largest resource in Rhode Island. It's our greatest resource. So we can't be everywhere throughout the bay when we're with a group of students. So they're just in one area and they're looking. And based off that information, we ask them, what do they think about the bay, and it gives them an opportunity to kind of debrief and think about what they found, plankton, water quality, and then the animals that we were able to collect. And then we end the program really thinking and helping the students think about what can they do to help save the bay, or should they care? Will they care? And for Save the Bay, our core to our mission is creating future stewards of Narragansett Bay. So instilling a sense of appreciation of Narragansett Bay throughout our school programs is really important, because these students are the future. They're going to be making decisions down the line regarding our bay, and we want them to be informed about them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's really commendable that you're trying to inspire future students to take care of the bay. And it's really great work that you're doing. And so going off of, being able to take on students on, into the bay on boats and on aquarium trips, and to understand like what is the bay composed of, can you explain the impact of the pandemic on all these educational resources?
Yeah, I know education is really has really, it's been a tough couple of years for anybody in education, especially our students. For Save the Bay being such a hands-on program where we're in classrooms or bringing students out with us, obviously that wasn't something we were able to do throughout the pandemic. So we kind of did what a lot of people did. The operative word here was pivot really quickly to doing some virtual or digital programs. And that's really what we did. Our education program, there's 12 of us on our ed team, and we came together and we were like, we can't not do anything. We need to, be out there. We need to, keep the bay out there and give kids hope and families hope. So we created a virtual series called Breakfast by the Bay. We started it right away in March 2020. And we did it every day. We came through Facebook Live at 10 a.m. and we brought content into the classrooms via virtually. And it gave students and teachers and families an opportunity to talk to our educators and ask them questions. So it was definitely different for us, but we didn't realize how popular it would become. So we did that. And then also when schools started getting back, in the classroom, or, however, obviously every district was doing something different, starting the new school year. So we did a lot of digital programs and work with teachers just to make sure that we were connecting with them and creating content that they could still use in their classrooms. We did a lot of pre-work for the students to use in their classroom and post-work based off of our digital experiences, which turned out to be really great as well. And for us, it's really allowed us to kind of think about a new way we will never replace the hands-on opportunity that we have been really founded on, bringing students out and connecting them and getting them wet and dirty in the water and in the marshes. But it provides a lot more accessibility for us to be able to work with students beyond that experience, or if they can't come out of the classroom for whatever reason, or something they can do when they're at their home, because it's all still available via YouTube and on our website. So
No,
definitely
that's really,
happy
really
to be.
awesome.
We're definitely happy to see smiling faces again. I can tell you that, and then having, the students wearing their masks, it was challenging because, so much as educators, you're looking for that connection with your students. They're, to whether it's with their voices or their eyes or their faces, like it's a really important part of teaching, is being able to interact with your students that way. And when they're obviously, for important reasons, we're trying to protect everybody, but some students might be shy to raise their hand and speak through their mask. So being able to see students again and their smiling faces has been very, we're just really excited about it. So.
No, thank you so much for that. And just, going off of, just like the engagement with the kids and with educating them on the importance of the bay and, keeping it clean. Can you explain just like what type of complex environmental issues do you want to highlight, such as water quality within, within these educational programs? Are there specific issues that you want to highlight to the children so that they could potentially address those in the future? Can you explain more on that, please?
Yeah, sure. We have, so obviously, Save the Bay, our mission is to protect and restore Narragansett Bay. And we do that in 3 ways. We have an advocacy department, we have a restoration department, and we have our education department. Most of our education, all of our education is really based off of the mission, which is protecting and restoring Narragansett Bay. And water quality is a major challenge for the Bay, as well as climate change. So a lot of our education programs are focused on introducing students to a lot of times, to the Bay in general, and habitats and animals and adaptations, but then also getting into more complex issues of water quality and how that impacts, not just life in and around the Bay, but also, humans as well. And the impacts of climate change as well. A lot of times we work with students throughout the entire school year. So they're seeing different changes throughout the year in the habitat that they're working in. So, taking tallies of different animals that are in different parts of the Bay, or different grasses that we're looking at, or, looking at impacts of storms when they come in, and the difference in what happens to like our south facing beaches when a big storm comes. We highlight our salt marshes and the work of our habitat restoration and adaptation team. So really helping students understand the impacts of climate change on salt marshes is really important, because salt marshes are really the nursery to all the animals that live in the Bay. So if the marshes or the beaches are kind of getting destroyed, sea levels rising, temperatures are rising. So we're getting lots of different types of animals and plants that we haven't typically seen, in our Bay due to those changes. Having students have the opportunity to really understand those complex issues, and then allowing them to help us grow salt marsh grasses in their classes, which and plant them. Our restoration team has really been working a lot on helping salt marshes adapt to the changes of climate change. And we've been able to kind of connect our education work with our habitat and policy work through that, and having students go out into a marsh, see a somewhat healthy marsh, maybe on Prudence Island or something, and then having them grow salt marsh grass in their classrooms and help to the students go out into marshes that we're trying to help adapt down in the southern part of Rhode Island. So Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I numbers. I see we're up time. I don't know.
No, thank you so much, Bridget. And to end it all off, can you explain more on like, is there anything else that you would like our audience to know or to be aware of in order to get involved or to continue the mission of Save the Bay?
Oh, no, thank you. Yeah, I mean, Save the Bay is a member-based organization. Our community really helps us continue our mission. We have lots of volunteer opportunities for people to get involved. I encourage folks to look at our website, www.savebay.org, to see the different opportunities we have for families, students, and just the general public. See what we're up to and get involved. We need everybody's help.
Thank you for talking with us, Bridget, and for being our guest on Rhode Island Latino News Opinion Plus.
Thank you.
And join us next time for another episode. For more information about our discussion today, look at our website at rilatinonews.com. Follow us on Twitter on Rhode Island Latino News and our Instagram at Rhode Island_Latino News. I'm Bron Zapata with Rhode Island Latino News Opinion Plus, and we'll see you next time.